Okay, right. So, my favourite book is Catcher in the Rye. And whenever anybody asks me what my favourite book is, I say Catcher in the Rye. I've read it so many times, and I have. But I get really scared saying it because then people start going, oh yeah, and when this happens and this character does this and the plot, and I look at them as if I've lied because I cannot remember anything in the book. And it's always been that way for me in that I can't retain information. Beth will vouch for this because Beth had to remember everything for that entire 3 years. Yeah, that's what she used to say. I've got you, don't worry. I can't retain information for some reason. I've always wondered why. But at secondary school, it meant a big problem because I had to remember facts and names. I had to remember methods and formulas. And so I failed massively. I used to walk into the maths exam hall and I would not even open the paper. I'd put my head down on the table. That was more comfortable than opening it and facing something that was just awful. I want to read a report extract. My mum gave me, thanks mum for this. Where are you, mum? My mum handed over all my secondary reports. Did I? Oh, okay. A couple of months ago, after I'd written the book, and I read them, and I was shocked because I knew that I'd failed at education, but I thought the educators had just missed me. But it turns out they knew all along I was failing. Every input into every report in secondary education had this vibe of the one I'm going to read to you, and I'm not exaggerating, except Lisa's actually. I'll send you yours. It was really positive and lovely. Everyone else's was like this. So it says, Sophie's enthusiasm has waned as the year has progressed. Her work has lacked motivation, hence the relatively poor achievement. A disappointing year. Areas for development, full commitment to all areas of study. As I was reading all of this, I was like, oh, they knew. What became apparent was that everyone stepped back and went, Sophie's doing all of these things. And no one asked why. No one took their responsibility and went, why is Sophie lacking in motivation? Why is she not confident? And put the whole responsibility on me for failing. So instead of that stepping back, which we quite often do in education, oh, we've got an SEND crisis, oh, we've got an attendance crisis. Why? Why have we got that? Because we are the system, and that is the reason why. So put simply, the lack of child autonomy meant that, against my wishes, I was reminded by a very narrow curriculum and a rigid education system that I was not good enough. Every day I had to do maths, and I failed it every single day. Once a week I did drama, and I got to feel successful once a week. So I want to read a section from the chapter 2, which is teaching and learning, and it talks about curriculum, one of many things that it talks about. But the national curriculum initiated prescription, and since its introduction by Margaret Thatcher's Conservative government in 1988, has been left much unchanged, thanks to Gove and Gibb. More on that later. When I look up the word curriculum, I am interested to see that it originates from the Latin currere, which means to run, with the noun curriculum translating as racehorse. Racing towards an end result, a product, is what us teachers have become experts at. We are forever racing, hurtling towards a set of expectations, results we like to think we can predict, and data that can justify our decisions. This is followed by an inevitable crash, which is what we call teacher burnout, causing high numbers of professionals leaving the race altogether. Surely, if we can see this crisis unfolding, if we know firsthand that stress levels are so high, why do we continue to run? As we continue to race towards this end product, tiredness inevitably sets in, and we begin to look for ways to cut corners. Unfortunately, the hacks that are being sold to us have the potential to quash passion, steal life from classrooms, and attempt to build robots rather than inspire children. From the use of images from online publishing houses, no names, to paying out thousands of pounds for schemes addressing the demands of the current curriculum is losing us all, adults and children alike. Teacher personality and individuality have been traded in for display policies, behaviour management scripts and phonics lessons that bore the teachers as much as the children they are supposed to teach. Sorry to all the people I work with. So, as educators, it is in our power to notice our lack of autonomy. That is the first job. We have to notice it. And then we begin to ask for it back. Once you see the infantilizing of this profession, you can't unsee it. Once you start to notice the lack of autonomy, you see everything. You see every little detail where it's lacking. And this book, it calls out all the nonsense for you. It will point out where your autonomy is lacking and where it is entirely appropriate to ask for it back. As professionals, we have a right to be trusted. I just want to read page 1 at this point. Autonomy might not be a silver bullet, but it might be the closest thing to it. It's the middle of the summer holidays, and last night I had a dream. I was in perpetual work mode on a loop. I was given a new classroom that had someone else's displays up. Their classroom was set up just as they had left it, and all of their plans were laid out on the desk for me to follow. I was told to sort it out, but was not to change anything. A sense of disappointment and disconnection ensued. How on earth can I make it work if it doesn't come from me? A lack of personal investment leads to a lack of meaning, and a lack of meaning results in confusion. I spent my entire dream, or nightmare, attempting to find happiness at work without the means to do so. I was at a loss, de-skilled and devalued. Autonomy is everything. Self-determination theory is a theory developed by Edward Deci and Richard Ryan, and is the idea that we have 3 basic psychological needs: competence, relatedness and autonomy. Simply put, when these needs are met, we are motivated, and when they are not, we are less productive and unhappy. Autonomy gives us a sense of worth, belonging and connection. It makes us individual, but it empowers us to work together. It requires us to be creative and promotes self-expression. And by modelling self-expression, we are giving those around us the permission to express. Do you have autonomy in your setting? If you answer yes, then I ask you to read this book and ask that same question again at the end. So the central argument is that without teacher autonomy, there is no space for child autonomy. Why do we need child autonomy? Well, you can read my next book, Poppy. This book might point out that we're getting it wrong. So this book is all about what we're getting wrong. But one thing is for sure, it is hopeful. It's hopeful that we can get it right. And it does that with tips for classroom teachers, practical tips for senior leaders, and then tips for government officials for systemic change. I am hopeful that on our journey, we can begin to notice how the lack of autonomy affects us daily, and that we can then begin to make change, small shifts that will start a ripple effect. And with this, we will reclaim our autonomy. So please do feel free to buy a book today. I will sign it for you. But before I let you get back to drinking, which I know you're all desperate to do, I have a little performance for you. So, Dylan, are you ready?